going on?
I'm a man who do what he got to do. I am a man who won't let me change. I need a boy who should with you, but so we gotta do it.
What up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. I got a story time for you, but I really am asking you guys a question, okay? Should I get a lawyer for my situation at my workplace? So allow your boy to explain. So basically, I got my hours cut all because the manager, me and my manager did not get along. Now, don't get it twisted and confused. I never disobeyed any order that he asked me to do. I came to work on time. I never missed a day of work. Matter of fact, out of the 2 years I have worked with this manager, only missed 2 days of work. I allowed him to run the store the way he wanted to run the store. Were there disagreements? Yes, as adults, we all don't get along, but I never there was never a moment where I disobeyed the chain of command. So allow your boy to explain. So basically, I was working at Kroger. Okay, I no longer work at Kroger. If you want to know the full details on why I no longer work at Kroger, I made a video a couple of weeks ago. Go check out that video. I'm gonna try to have the link in the comment section so you can hear the full story. But to make a long story short, basically, I removed myself from a toxic situation. I was discriminated, I was disrespected, and the last 2 weeks were a telltale sign. Like this manager took this very personal, not professional, personal, all because we didn't get along. We didn't get along as friends. Look, when you at work, you're there to work. You're not there to really socialize. Low key, you kind of want to get along with everybody. But as an adult, you have to realize that sometimes you have to work with people that you just can't get along with, or you don't see eye to eye with their philosophies or their work ethic or any of that stuff. You just punch in, you do your 8, you get out the gate. And along the way, while you're working those hours, you have to just deal with different personalities. It just goes with the program. So basically, like I said, this store manager just tried all the tricks of the trade to just get me out of the store, just for me to just quit. He tried, first he tried to cut my hours. Then he gave my hours to an employee that was only there for like 3 months. I've been there for years, and this guy has been here for 3 months, and every week he was getting more hours than me. Now, I tried to notify the situation. I was being very courteous. I was being very professional. I was acting like an adult. I asked him what was going on with my hours being cut and how this individual is getting more hours than me, and I've been there longer than this individual. I was very courteous. I'm very respectful. I gave him time to figure it out. Then 2 weeks I take that back. A month of me going, phone tagging my store manager, all of a sudden it got resolved. It just got resolved. I thought that was the end of it. Then my grocery manager was taking pictures of me at the workplace. He would take pictures of me in my area. He would take pictures of me. He would take pictures of my back room. He just, and when I reported these things to the store manager, he reassured me. He didn't show him no pictures. if he would show him pictures, that's unethical. That's something that, is not allowed in the store. But nevertheless, the grocery manager continued to do what he was doing. I reported it. He told me not to worry about it. Then 2 months after that, it started getting worse. It got worse to the point where I had to go speak to the union. Now at Kroger, they have a union. I think it's UFCW. And let me tell you something. It's a waste of time even joining the union. I don't know how it is in other districts or in other states or in other cities, but where I'm from, the union representatives, they really don't care. They really don't care. The only time they care is whether or not you're signed up to the union. Once you're signed up to the union, you're just a number to them. They don't care. They'll sit there and listen to you, listen to your disagreements or listen to your complaints or whatever. But as far as that goes, that's as far as it goes. Okay. So we have these two union representatives. One was Kurt. Other one was name was Robert. Robert was on the other side of retirement. He was very sick. He was very ill. So, and even before he got sick and ill, he was one of those type of union representatives that would just sit in the office, allow the manager to just say whatever they want to say. Don't put up any front of defending you or, try to say something. He'll just literally let stand there. You're just better off just going into the office by yourself. Kurt, on the other hand, was a total bootlicker. Every time we get a new store manager or every time we get an assistant manager, he was always for the managers, which is kind of funny to me. You're a union representative. You work for the union. The union is kind of against the managers, but you want to play both sides of the field. Okay, so you had these two union representatives. All right. So I did my list of complaints. I handed it to Kurt. Kurt just basically just sits there in the office with his hands folded, not doing much. So you have to take it upon yourself to speak to someone outside the store. And for the moment, there was a union representative. She came. She was very concerned. I gave her my list of complaints. I showed her the evidence. We scheduled a meeting with the store manager, and then he started to fall back and being nice and, talking about he's going to fix this and this, that, and the third. And me and the union representative, we had a conversation, the possibility of me transferring to another store. I wish I would have simply transferred to another store. I don't know, transferring to another store would have made life better for me or made life worse for me, but at least I'll be away from this situation. I should have just trusted my instincts and transferred. But he reassured me everything is fine. And everything was fine for like 6 or 8 months until this tick for tat stuff started to developing after the 6-month period. I don't know if they was waiting for this to have time in between of what the stuff I had to deal with. Maybe they just want to say, after 6 or 8 months, we're going to get back on. And they did get back on me. Then they started, the last thing happened to me, I felt like it was the final straw, was when my grocery manager, my central manager, my frozen lead, all three of them took a vacation at the same time, leaving me by myself in my department. I asked all three of them, who's going to help me while all you guys are gone? They promised me this, they said this person, they said that person. Come to find out, I was by myself. I was by myself for a week. And I remember what the store manager told me. The store manager told me, just let him fix things. Because he threw it in the atmosphere that, he didn't allow me to give him time to fix things. So I gave him time to fix things. 3 days go by. Haven't heard nothing. I'm still working by myself. I asked the assistant manager, and finally I asked the store manager, and then all of a sudden there's gossiping in the store about him replacing me. I talked to him. He said, yeah, I have to replace you. So basically, he wanted me to work by myself with no help, okay? And then replace me with somebody else, moving me to another department. I felt like that was the final straw. I exercised all my resources. I talked to my shop stewardess. I called outside. I called outside the store to get help. The lady that helped me the first time around, she's no longer there. They patched me through another lady, and she just did not care. She just did not care. She listened, but did she actually do anything? No. When I recommended if we couldn't get things resolved about a possibility of transferring, she said no problem. Once we couldn't resolve anything, I asked her what was going on with the transfer in front, because I knew nothing was going to be resolved here. I just wanted to throw it out and just lay it on the table. This is the issues. I know it's not going to be fixed by me staying here. I'm ready to just transfer to another store. She gives me this lame excuse. Text. That's very classy of you. You just text me. Every time I try to call her, she's she's doing something. She's always doing something when I'm calling her. I thought that was weird, but hey, I read the writing on the wall. So I said, well, what's going on with the transfer? Well, I'm waiting on you to see whether or not you want to transfer. And we just had a conversation about me transferring. I said I knew this wasn't going to be resolved, so we can have the meeting with the manager, but I still want to transfer. So why are you waiting on me about transferring when we was talking about transferring? So I just knew it was the final straw. So luckily for me, I was on vacation. I called my store manager while I was in the middle of my vacation. Still things are not resolved. I said, hey, is it okay if I utilize my personal days so I can take 2 weeks off, because you're putting me in a bind. Now I got to change my schedule around, because I have a life outside of Kroger. He said no problem, but low-key, I was plotting on him anyway. I was looking for another job. I was looking for another job while I was on vacation. I figured, let me take my personal days, have that second week. I already found 2 places I was interested in working at. Okay, so I took my final week. When my final week, I took another week. I took a second week of vacation. I was scheduled to 3 different interviews. By Friday, I picked the company I wanted to work for, and I moved from there. Now, 3 months have passed by. Talked to one of my old co-workers. I shouldn't say old friend, because I feel like he's started a lot of this ish. All right. And he was telling me that, oh yeah, they did you wrong, they did you dirty, but what was all that energy when you went on vacation knowing that I wasn't going to have no help? Where was all that energy when you started to defend me? When did you start to actually defend me? When did you actually started to say something? Because remember, you was the same individual that didn't want to get in between stuff and didn't want to go speak for me in the office and this, that, and the third. 3 months removed, I done moved on, got a better job. I'm surrounded by better people. Now all of a sudden you care how they did me. Okay, where was all that energy then? Okay, but that's neither here nor there. He talked about how, he said that he didn't give you your last vacation. And I'm going I did get my last vacation. I got my regular paycheck. I got my first vacation, and I got my personal day vacation. I was, willing to even show him my bank deposits. I had 3 checks. Those are my last 3 checks. I said, yeah, I probably couldn't get my other vacation because by that I had to stay an extra month just to get that final vacation. But by then the damage is done. I already got my first vacation. I got my personal days. I'm good, So yeah. Do I have, sometimes I think a lot, and sometimes you go through a phase. Like when I started working there, because when you start over, you have to learn new things. You have to learn new people. You got to learn how people operate and things of that nature. But you always have doubts in your mind, like, man, if this would have played out any differently, would I still be there? And to be truthfully honest with you, no, I would not be there because, I would not be there because even if we've gotten this resolved, and let's say hypothetically, I got this resolved and I'm back to my old department. Guess what? Something else would have happened along the way because it has already been demonstrated that it was going to be always something. It was going to be always something. And like I said, a lot of these managers don't deserve to be managers because in order to be a manager, you got to accept criticism from all areas. Your boss criticizes you. Your wife may criticize you. People, you can't simply control what people think about you. If someone critiques you, long as they're not saying anything negative or anything toxic, that's their opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, just like you're entitled to your opinion. So yeah, that's what happened. And I got a part 2 to this video, but before I end this video, I first like to say this. It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy, I'm Chris the Don 1. I'll see you in the next video, part 2. Okay? Deuces.